So, welcome again to this class, Visual Programming. We'll carry on with CSS from where we left last time, and I think this is the last we'll be looking at as far as cascaded style sheets is concerned. So, what I'm going to do is share my screen. Then I'll open Visual Studio Code. I'll put a new window and I'll launch our folder from here. Think recent. It was Visual visual programming here. So, just a recap of what we did last time. We discussed CSS. We talked about how we can be able to do margins, paddings, how we can use selectors, how we can use pseudo selectors, and different kinds of selectors generally. And I think we also looked at things like background, how we can add backgrounds to our elements and all that kind of stuff. So today I want us to continue with formatting, and specifically we're going to focus on text formatting. So without further ado, I think let's get started. The rest will be able to find us along the way as we continue. Now I had suggested that we have a class on Saturday, which I shared a link, and most of us did not attend. But nonetheless, I think it will be in our interest to try and attend those classes because exams are scheduled to start on the 7th. Actually, our exam is on 17th, but from the 7th, there are not going to be any classes. So the sooner we finish this, the better. I'd also like to inform you that we're going to have our cut probably within the next 2 weeks. So we're going to do one cut. I haven't seen assignment from most of the people, so I will assume that if you have not presented your assignment, then I'll just give you a mark as far as that is related. So just be aware of that. So, as I had said today, those were just notices. So, as I said today, let's continue with CSS, and this will be our last class on cascaded style sheets. So, today I want us to look at text formatting. I want us to start looking at text formatting and how this works out. So, what I'm going to do here is I'll create a new file and I'll call it CSS text css text dot, let me just say formatting text rather, formatting text dot css dot html rather, not css, dot html. So I want us to put some text over here, then we can be able to format this text and see how it works out. So first of all, of course, I'm going to start with introducing Emmet, which is going to autofill for me the structure of the HTML document. Then I'll say this is text formatting. So I will start with certain things. Let me say I want to create something like a CV so that you're able to see how this CV can be formatted. So let me just put a structure and put something like a H1, my curriculum. Okay. Then I'll have something like a H2, which is biodata. And on my biodata, I'll probably have a div here. Well, I can put a div with biodata with an ID of biodata. So that's how you type it in Emmet. It will automatically fill it for you. Then I'll have the text here. Then from inside here, I can have different blocks. So I can have a block for my personal details. So this biodata are going to be personal details. And I think probably let me put here a paragraph with my name, a paragraph with my gender, a paragraph with my date of birth, a paragraph with my religion, something like that, right? Then after that, I can now come and put another div with academic qualification, something like that. So here I can have maybe say H2. I have a primary school. Then from here I can have paragraph. Then I can simply say name of the primary school, then the date, then probably the score. And I'll repeat similar to high school. Then I'll go again and put college. Then I can have another one here called employment experience. So this employment. I heard somebody wants to get in. Maybe let me just allow them in. But I think I say that I want to be allowing this. Um, okay. I said I want to be allowing this, but nonetheless, let's just carry on. So this is academic qualification. Now I want to look at professional qualification. So professional qualification. So maybe I can have maybe say like Jordan College. Then I have maybe say KIST. Then something like TUK. Something of the sort. So again here it will be the date, the position, the date, and the roles and responsibilities. So I'm just quoting my text here so that it becomes a bit easier for us to format and see how these different formatting techniques would apply. All right. So I have this page. I'll go live, and this is how the page should look like. It is not amounting to much. So it's my CV, it has my biodata, it has my experience as far as academic qualifications are concerned. Then, of course, work experience. So probably maybe I can put headings just to show me exactly that. So I can put another paragraph here. Then I'll say academic qualifications. Qualifications. Then I can add here work experience. Then I can call this one, I can give them classes of main or subheadings. Subheadings, right? Something of that. So this is a subheading, and this one is also a subheading. We discussed about selectors, and one of the selectors we discussed was class selectors and how we can use them. So we want to put all these things in place and see how they work out. Now we can do these things side by side. So let's have it that way so that now we are able to see everything. Yeah, I think that's better. So we can be able to see our design at the same time we can be able to see our output on this other side. So that makes it a little bit easier for us to see what we are formatting as we go along. So this is just content. This is just content. I don't know why is co coming before high school. Oh yeah, it's here. So yeah, so this is the content. So let's look at text formatting and how we can format text. Now, one of the things that we usually do is we can align our text. We can align our text. So I'll come here and I'll put style. Then, of course, I'll start with text alignment. Text alignment. So once you have the text alignment in place, of course, we can always align our text in various forms. So let me say, for example, my name here is Richard. Gender is male. Then maybe say date of birth is 1st January 2000. Then my religion is Christian, like that. Christian, not Christina, Christian, like that. So I have this text over here. Now, what would happen is I might want, by default, you can see this text is aligned on the left. So if I wanted to align this text in any other format other than right, then I would use text alignment. Now, how do I achieve this? I want to only focus on this biodata part. So what do I say? You remember what we talked about sibling selectors? How do you do a sibling selector? So I can put here get an element with an ID of biodata and then get what? Get children who are then these paragraphs. What do? You can now add a text alignment or a line of center. Okay. Um, sorry. So you can see it aligns these elements at exactly the center. If I say align them on the right, it will simply align them on the right hand side. So you can see they are pushed on the exact right. So any paragraph, actually what I did was I meant to do that for, well, biodata paragraph is directly. No, paragraph is not directly. This H2. Yeah, that won't work out because they're not direct children, but that will definitely work out. Yeah. So it's because the paragraphs are not direct children of biodata, they're not following biodata directly. So in that case, that selector won't work out. But this would mean biodata, get any paragraph that is inside biodata, which is all these paragraphs over here, and you can now see they are aligned on the right. Now I can come again and say I want these other ones, the one for my primary school to be in the center. So my primary school, I'll simply say Livani Primary School. Kilimani Primary School. Then let me say 1st January 2005 to, well, a bit early. Maybe let me change this one to 1990. Then this one is 1995 to 2003. Then score maybe that time there was in out of 700, maybe say 450, something of the sort. Now, if I had this portion over here, these ones over here, and I wanted to center them, I'd simply come here and say, get me paragraph with get me a div with an ID of qualification, get me all the paragraphs, and make the text alignment to be centered. So these ones will be aligned as you can see at the center. So anything that is going to be inside academic qualification and it is a paragraph, you can see it is lined at the center. Okay, so you can line left, right, or if you want to align them both left and right, let me just put a small paragraph here about you. Then let me say lorem 200. It's just going to put some large text at the bottom here. So this is about me. So I'll put here another heading and I'll say about me. Like that. So about me, this is all about me. Now, if I wanted to format about me over here, what I would do here, I would come here and say, get me an element with an ID of about me, and anything about me, text, align, justify. When you justify, you'll see that it has added extra space within the text, and the text is aligned both on the right hand side and on the left hand side. So that is how align works. Okay. Somebody's mic is on. I don't know who that is. Maybe you might consider muting. Michael. Okay, that's better. When you're joining, kindly make sure that you are muting your mic, please, so that you don't distract others. So I was discussing alignment, and as I've said, alignment would make sure that the left hand side and the right hand side of your text is aligned. They are aligned on both sides. So what it does is it adds extra spaces in between so that now you are able to align this particular text. So as you are preparing a document, text alignment can either be left, right. Left is the default, right is on the right hand side, center is at the center as you can see over here, and of course justify aligns them on either side. So that's how you deal with text. Now, the other thing you deal with text is background. I might want to change background of some text. Let me say, for example, these heading twos. I want all heading twos to look nicer than what they currently are because they are main topics, so to speak. So what I can do here, I can say, get me all the heading twos inside my document, regardless of wherever they are. Then change the background. You can use background image, you can use background color. I like using background so that I can provide anything I want on them. So for that, I can do a background of say, let me say, which color is nice? Gray. I don't know how good gray is. Yeah, then maybe I can change the color to white, color, color American style to white. But of course, I like using triple F. Then I can give it a bit of padding. Maybe say top and bottom 10 pixels, left and right 0 pixels. I think we discussed this last time. Well, left and right maybe say 5. Yeah, that's better. Then maybe I can give them some border radius of maybe say 5 pixels, so they are not very sharp corners. So 5 pixels. So you can see they're a bit curved on the corner, something of that sort. Now that starts to look much better as far as our document is concerned. Remember here, my focus was on the background color of the text. So when you're talking about text, we can change the background color, which is gray. We can also change the color of the text, which is color. So background is for the background, and color is for the stroke of the font. So that's the difference between the two of them. All right. So we have talked about text alignment. We've also talked about background color and the color of the font. The next thing I want us to discuss is text decoration. How do you decorate this text? Now, this is interesting because sometimes we want to be able to highlight certain things, like maybe say we want to talk about dates. Anything that deals with dates, we want it to be underlined in such a way that somebody can be able to see it easily. So what I would do here, I would I would give classes of dates. I would give classes of dates for all the fields I want to be formatted as dates. So I'll give that one a date. Where else do I have a date? I have a date here. I also have a date here. I have a date here. I have a date here. I also have another date here. Even though don't have values for them, but it makes sense. I think date of birth also has a date here. So, sorry, date of birth also has a date over there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and say dot means you select based on class. So I'll say get me anything with the class of date, and maybe say now the text decoration. Um, And text decoration has variable properties. First of all, we have the line. So text decoration line has four styles. We have line, we have overline, we have underline, and we have line through. So if I wanted to make sure that the dates are underlined, so I'll simply say underline. Now anything that is going to be a date, as you can see, is now underlined on my document. Anything that is going to be a date is going to be underlined. So everywhere I have a date, you'll be able to see that the date is actually underlined. So text decoration line means it's underlined. If I want to have it line through, which means I want line to cross it, something like that. You can see now I have the date as struck through. So you might want to format it line through. You might also want to do something like overline. it will put a line over it. Of course, underline puts a line over it. And you can do both overline and underline. You can do both. If you want to have all of them, you can do that. So you'll be able to have both overline and underline. All right. I told you to accept the invitation on on the mail so that you don't distract us once we start classes. So kindly, please just follow instructions. It's much easier to follow instructions than to distract us as we are carrying on. Okay. So that is text decoration line. Then we also have text decoration color. So I might also want to change the color of the text decoration. For now, let me stick with underline. So we also have text decoration color, and we have color. So text decoration color, again, simply the way we're adding color, um, we can do text decoration color, not color the function. Yeah, that's what I meant. So you can either use hexadecimal, we can use RGB, we can use RGBA, we can use HSL, we can use HSLA, and so forth and so forth. So because I have not determined which color I'm going to use on this project, let me just give it a brown color instead. So anything that's going to be a date, you can see now the date is underlined in a brown color. So when it comes to date, the text decoration line is underlined and the text decoration color is brown. So I'm not talking about the text, I'm talking about the text decoration. If I wanted the text itself, then I'll use color or background. But here I'm talking about the decoration of the text, which is now underlined and I have put brown. By the way, yeah, then we also have the text decoration style. We also have the text decoration style. So there is text decoration style. And this one can come in different styles. I think there are about five in total. We have the default, which is solid. Solid is exactly what it is. Then you can also have dashed. So dashed, we can see we'll be able to put dashed lines below this. Then you can also have something like double. Double will put double underline, as you can be able to see over here. Then we can also have something like wavy. If you wanted to have wavy, so simply put wavy. It will be able to put a wavy line below the text like that. And is there anything? So I think we have dashed, we have double, we have dotted, we have dashed. Yeah, I think dotted I didn't mention. So there is also dotted. So there is dotted, you can see there are small dots. Dashed are big dots. So as you are adding them, just use them as appropriate. So text decoration style is also something that you can add to a style. But I like wavy when it comes to this because it's a bit more conspicuous, as you can see. Now I have that, and if I want to tell you that something like spelling mistakes or things like that, then this is how I would actually highlight the text to show you where problems are or stuff like that. That's where we actually practically use these kinds of techniques. Then also as part of the text decoration, there is the thickness of the line. So there's text decoration, thickness. So this thickness, you can decide it in units. We have not discussed CSS units, but I think we're going to discuss them today. So the units can either be in pixels. We have what we call absolute units and we have relative units. Absolute units are the ones that are precise. Well, pixel is something in between because it will depend on the viewing media, but something like a particular value in terms of points and stuff like that, then those ones are definite. So you can put a percentage, you can put pixels, you can put M's and rems, and all those kinds of units. We're going to discuss them in a short while. So for now, let me just say I want them to be 20 pixels bigger. So 20 pixels, you can see it becomes too big. So maybe let me say 5 pixels. 2 pixels is almost the default, so let me put 5 pixels. Then you can see 5 pixels become, well, 5 px, you have to put the px properly. So you can see 5 pixels actually is more conspicuous. So that is how you would be able to add style as far as formatting your text is concerned. So now there's one thing you need to know. I've put line, color, style, and thickness, and all of them are part of text decoration. We can do shorthand for this. Shorthand is how we write all the styles in a single line so that we don't repeat ourselves the way we have done over here. So with the shorthand, the only thing that is required is the line. The rest are optional. So I can rewrite all of this like this. So for shorthand for that, I'll simply say text decoration. Line is important, so I'll say I want wavy line. The rest are optional. The rest are color, style, and thickness. Color, I can say I want brown. Thickness, I want it maybe say 3 pixels. And of course, lastly, style. Style is actually style is wavy. Line should be underlined. Sorry. Yeah, I was wondering how it's not coming up. So the line is mandatory, the color is optional, the thickness is optional, and the style is also optional. So it will depend on how you want to have it. By the way, these other ones don't need to follow any pattern. I can put them in any way. It won't matter the order, right? So long as the first one is the line type. So if I put double here, the first one is what is important. Text decoration, no, double is actually a style. This should be overline. Then this one should be double, something like that. Double, not that kind of a thing. So you can see that way now. The only one that is necessary or a must when it comes to text decoration, it is the line type. That is the only one that is a must. Color, style, and thickness are optional, and they can follow any other. I can put the thickness just before the double here, and you'll still be able to see it still works out even if I put here 5 pixels. So you can see it will be able to work out. The order does not matter so long as the first one, because the values are also different. So here I have the style, here I have um, the, the size, here I have the color and all that. And all these things have different values. So if you put them, the engine will just understand exactly what you're trying to address, and that's what makes it very interesting. Now, the other thing you need to note is that when it comes to text decoration, because we use a lot of links on our pages, the first thing we could probably do is disable all the disable decoration for all links. Okay, so what you're going to do here, I'm going to put maybe some links here where you can be able to access my profile. So I'll put another list. Well, let me just put some anchors pointing to nowhere. Then I'll say my CV, print my CV. Then probably I'll put another anchor here and I'll say Facebook. Then I'll put another link here and I'll say hash again, which is Instagram. Hash means don't go to the current page. So Instagram. Then maybe I can put another link for LinkedIn. Of course, you will provide the links as appropriate. So if you come down here, you'll see I have some text decoration as far as my anchor elements are concerned. So what I want to do, I might want to remove this decoration so that they appear as normal text. So what I'll do here is I'll say get me any anchor and the text decoration should be none, which means remove any decoration that is applied on that text. And as you can see, now there's no text decoration, there's no underline, there's literally no decoration on the text. The color is the default color, the font is the default font, there's there's no there's no thickness on the line and any of those styles. So in terms of line, color, style, and thickness, all of the styles have been removed simply by saying text decoration is equals to none, or text decoration full colon none. So again, when it comes to working with links, then we simply remove all the decoration. Then now we can be able to apply our own styles. Remember, we said when you're talking about CSS, what happens is that the browser has its own default styles, which it applies in the event that you have not provided any. So when I say text decoration is none, it means that it is going to remove all the decoration applied by the browser so that it is now plain as it could possibly get, right? So that is how we deal with text formatting. Now, the next thing I want us to discuss is transformation of the text. So I have this text and I want to transform this text in one way or another. Maybe, for example, I want any content inside a paragraph to be in all uppercase. I want any contents, and especially for for maybe say my biodata, anything that is going to be inside a paragraph, I want it to be uppercase. Any text that is going to be inside the paragraph, I want it to be uppercase or lowercase or sentence case. Or if I'm talking about email, email should be in lowercase most of the time. So you get the idea. So maybe say I can put here something like email gmail.com. Well, I can put it in capital letters. Something of the sort.com. Now we know that emails are never written like this. They are usually in all lowercase. So I can have anything that has a class of email. And now I'm just trying to show you how we design these documents. So I'll usually give classes to things that are common. As you can see, anything that is going to be a date, I give it a class of date. Anything that's going to be an email, I'll give it a class of email. So all the emails within my document are going to be formatted in a specific way. So when I come here and I'll say anything with a class of email, then use text transform and say you can see we have lowercase, uppercase, and capitalized. Lowercase means you convert all of it into lowercase, and as you can see, my email here has been converted to all lowercase. Okay, if I put capitalize, the first letter only will be put in capital letter. Other letters are going to be put in lowercase letters. Now you can see only the first letter is put in lowercase, the rest are left as they are. Then we can also use uppercase. So everything else will be in uppercase. Of course, there's none, which means leave them as they are. So there's no style that's going to be applied on them. So again, when it comes to transforming the text, we use text transformation, and from there we can be able to change cases of anything. If I wanted everything to be in uppercase as far as my biodata is concerned, I'll simply come on biodata here and I'll say uh, text transform, text transform, uppercase. And everything inside here, as you can see, is now in all uppercase. Very simple, very effective. And again, this is the kind of thing that you want to do on your pages so that now it doesn't matter how or where the data comes from. When it comes to displaying the contents of the page, you have absolute control over how it's going to look like. Okay. So besides text transformation, we also have text spacing. You might also want to space this text because you can see here, they could be a bit too tight. The line height might be a bit too squashed and that kind of stuff. So it will depend on the content. Actually, if I talk about the one that is down here, because this is actually quite a bit of text. So here I might want to be able to reorganize so that the line height is increased and maybe the text spacing within the text itself is also dealt with. Delta spacing rather is also dealt with. So it will depend on how you want to deal with them. So let's talk about text spacing. So this is text spacing. So when it comes to text spacing, we have at least about four values that we can change. We can change the text indent. So indent is how far it is pushed on the inside. And by the way, these ones could be done in with different techniques altogether. For example, maybe I might want the first letter only to be indented, the rest to remain as they are, and stuff like that. So it will depend uh, on uh, on uh, on you. So let me talk about this. What do we call it? About me. So about me, I think I declared it here. Did I? Yes, about me, I declared it here. So here, I want to change the spacing. Maybe say I want the text indent to be 50 pixels. So I'll say text indent Well, I need to have a semicolon here, text indent, and I want it to be say 50 pixels. So I want you to watch closely. So you are going to see that this text, well, this text here is indented 50 pixels on the inside. Okay. The first one is only the first portion is indented 50 pixels. So maybe I can say if I want to see it on this text, maybe what I'll do is I'll say, and this is where now cascaded style sheets comes into play. I'll simply say about me, get the succeeding paragraphs and make the text indent 50 pixels. So instead of indenting the first one, um, does it have a paragraph really? It doesn't have a paragraph. So let me just put this paragraph and move this content inside like that. So once I have this in place like that, then if I was to apply, uh, did I put it here? Yes, it's about me. Then paragraph. So you can see this paragraph has been indented 50 pixels on the inside. So if you want to create something like a paragraph or something of the sort, then that's kind of like how you would achieve that. How about something like letter spacing? You see the spacing on these letters is the standard. So if I wanted to change the letter spacing, I'll simply say letter spacing, and I want them to be maybe say 20 pixels. That's a bit too big, but that's okay. So you can see I have actually 20 pixels within each letter, which is a little bit overwhelming when it comes to reading that kind of text. So maybe say something like 2 pixels. They'll be very close, but not so close. As you can see, there's still some space left. So if I said I want something like 1 pixel, which is technically almost the default, but slightly bigger than the default, you can see now I also have 1 pixel in between. So you can also space things within the letters. Then we also have word spacing. So if you want spacing between words, if you want spacing between words, you do word spacing. And this word spacing, I can use 5 pixels, still big. So you'll be able to see that between words, I have five pixels increment all along as I am moving. Let me make it 50, make it 20 so that it's very conspicuous. So you can see within each word, I have some spacing of 20 pixels as I move along and stuff like that. So this is the kind of power that that you get with this. Then you can also change the line height. Of course, I don't want to play with this. Let me change the line height. You can see the line height is a bit too squashed. So I can come here and say, I want to change the line height. I want to change the line height to maybe say 10 pixels. So you can see they are now closer together. If I say maybe make it 30 pixels, it will be now I have a bit of line spacing within the text. So again, it depends on the kind of content that you are presenting to your users and how you want the content to be readable. That's where the text spacing comes into play. Again, I'll remove them because for this particular case, I don't want to change the default. I was only interested in formatting it left and right. So that is how you handle text decoration, how you handle text formatting when it comes to CSS. I mean, there could be more properties than those ones that you can be able to change, but I think that should give us a head start on how we can be able to change some of these elements. So next, I want us to look at fonts. So CSS supports fonts, and we have so what I'm going to do is, well, I'm still going to use this document for this document rather for fonts, and font is the writing style that we use when it comes to when it comes to uh, uh, how we want to display data. Now, remember, when it comes to digital screens like non-print media, we have two types of fonts that we use. We have what we call serif fonts, and we have sans serif fonts. So I think let me open. I think W3 Schools. I don't know if they have a good image on fonts. Let me see, so that I also don't reinvent the wheel. Fonts. We have something to do with fonts here. Yeah, let me just see. Okay, yeah. So this is what I was talking about. When it comes to fonts, we have what we call serif fonts. Serif are these things that you're seeing lights over here. They're like the ones that are marked with red. The ones that are off, they are used to more like design the fonts. These are called serifs. Now, sans serif means it does not have serif. So as you can see, this F is plain, and this other F that is serif font has these decorations, the ones that are marked red. So when you're talking about fonts, there are majorly two main categories of fonts: those ones with serifs and those ones without serifs. They're called sans serif. And most of the systems will have these fonts. So, for example, if I come to Windows or most operating systems, serif fonts are things like Times New Roman, which is the default that you're using here. This is actually Times New Roman. You can see it's a serif font. You can see on the V, there is those serifs added. On the M, there are those serifs added all the place. On the Y, all of them are there. Even on the D, you can see the serifs are coming out of the D and stuff like that. So when all systems will have something like Times New Roman, Georgia, or even Garamond, and these are examples of serif fonts. Then we also have sans serif fonts like Arial, Vadana, and Helvetica. Then monospace is some kind of a serif font. So if you look at the U, they have serifs. If you look at the R, the I, they have serif. So they are a mixture of serif and sans serif. Similar, Lucida Console is non-serif font, as you can see. Monaco is also non-serif. But then you also have something like cursive fonts like PressScript or even Lucida handwriting. So you can see there's some sort of, they're not serif per se, but there are they are a different style altogether. Then of course we have fantasy fonts like Copperplate and Papyrus or Papyrus as some people call it. So this is exactly what we want us to discuss on how we can be able to use these fonts. I'll majorly focus on the first main category, which is serif and sans serif. So let's come back and see how we can be able to add these fonts. Now, to add a font, we use some properties, and one of the properties of fonts we have is the font family. So, font family. So font family will just tell us which family of font we want to use. Let me say, for example, I want to change the entire document to use maybe something like I don't want to use I don't want to use the Times New Roman. I want to use Garamond instead. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come here and I'll say, get me the body of the document, and within the body, the font family would be something like Garamond. Now this one would work. As you can see, now the font has changed to Garamond for my entire document. But what if Garamond is missing? I'll simply say I want a serif font. Any serif font that is installed on your system should be able to be used. Now, in the event that I misspell this one as Garamondi, like that, you can see now it is using, this is not Garamond, this is actually Times New Roman. But if I say Garamond and the Garamond is found, then you can see it actually changes the font to Garamond. So this is what we call type safe. We are safely ensuring that the font is actually handled even if it is not available or installed within the system. Okay, so if you put a font that is not available, then you leave out the type of font to be used, then it will default to whatever it has. Let me give you an example. Let me say I want to use a sans serif font, sans serif, but then I put something here like Garamondi. So you can see now it has not used Times New Roman because Garamondi is not a font, but it has used a sans serif font that is available on the system because I told it if you don't find this font, use any sans serif font that we have within the system that is installed within the system. Okay, and that's very, very important. Now, again, you might use multiple fonts. So I'll say use Garamond if it is there. And if Garamond is not there, I can provide another font. So maybe I can say use maybe say Monaco or Brush Script. So Brush Script is, so let me say Monaco. So if Garamond is not there, then use Monaco. So you can see what it will do is because Garamond is you separate them by commas, sorry, and actually each font is shown separately like that. So you can see I have Garamond already installed in the system, so it's going to use Garamond. If Garamond is not there, maybe say I misspell this one as Garamondi, then it will use Monaco. So you can see now it has used Monaco. And if Monaco is not there, it's going to use any sans serif font that it has within the system. So this is how you define your font. So you can list all your fonts, you separate them by commas, then you can be able to work with them as appropriate. Okay, so that's kind of like how you want to use font. So, for example, you can put something like this: use Arial. If Arial is not there, use Helvetica. If it's not there, use any sans serif font that you have within the system. Now, what's important is that you can use either single quotes or double quotes for this. It doesn't really matter. What's important is you separate them in quotes, and especially if the names have things like spaces, something like Lucida Console or Courier New or Times New Roman, simply close them in um, uh, uh, single or double quotation mark. So that is how we add fonts to, or we change the font that we can be able to use as far as our pages are concerned. Very important because we might not want to work with the default fonts that come with the browser, but rather we want to be able to have different fonts altogether. Okay. Then, besides the font family, we have the font style. So, font style is whether you want it to be bold, you want it to be italic, or something of the sort. So, if I want to maybe say something like a date, I want the dates to be bold. So, I could simply come here and talk about where I have dates, and then I can say font style, then I can decide which style I'm going to use. So maybe say I want them to be I want them to be italic. So I say italic. So anything that's a date, as you can see over here, has now become italicized. So italic and oblique mean the same thing. So you can see there's no difference between italic and oblique. So when you want to add italicization, either use italic or oblique. So what if you want to make the font bold? If you want to make the font bold, then use the font weight. Use the font weight to make it bold. So then the weight you can give it the way that you want. You can make it normal, you can make it bold, you can make it bolder, you can give it a weight depending on the size of font that you have. You can make it lighter. So let me say font weight, I want it to be bold, for example. Then you can see all the dates are now italicized and they're also bold at the same time. All right. So that's how we do that. Then also we have something called font variant. Font variant is how you want to have the font, maybe in terms of you want them to be small caps. So let me remove this date. Uh, or is on the transaction. I changed the text decoration to uppercase here. So let me remove that so that they're not in uppercase. So I want to show us how to use font variant. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say font variant. I want to make them small caps, as you can see. Small caps will mean they'll be in small capital letters. So there'll be some letters with large capital letters, some with small with capital letters, but they are slightly smaller than the others. So you can use that font variant also as an option so that you can be able to alter the variation of the font as it looks. By default, it's normal, but if you want to use small caps, let me just remove the italicization so that you can be able to see the effect nicely. So that's how the small caps will look. So you can see I have capital J. The rest are also capital, but they are now smaller. So they are capital, but they are smaller capitals. So that's what kind of like the small caps font variant option would be able to do. Then I think we also have the font size, which is very, very important. You might also want to change font size of anything you want on your document. Let's say, for example, we want to change the font size of this H2 to be something slightly different. So I'll come to my H2 here and I'll say font size. We're going to discuss CSS units. slightly later into the future. Actually, I think just within this particular class, then we can be able to see how that works out. So you can use any unit. For now, let me say I want to use one rem, which is 16 points. So you can see one rem. I've suddenly changed all the heading 2 font sizes to one rem. If I wanted 1.5 rems, that is 20 points. I'll change that, then that becomes 20 points, which is the default for heading 2. I can even put 2 rems if I wanted it to be much bigger than that. 5 rems, you can see it's much bigger, but 2 rems, I think, is appropriate. So something of the sort. So when it comes to font size, you can use rems, you can use ems. You might not be able to see the difference between the two of them, but if I was using a HD screen, you'd see the difference. Maybe I can even put them in pixels. Maybe say I want them in 20 pixels, very small, but still visible. You can see 20 pixels is small. I can say percentage in relation to its width, so 30%. You can see it is now 30% of what it's supposed to have. Where it's house, if I put 70%, it becomes a little bit bigger. We're going to talk about units later on, but when it comes to font size, it can take any CSS unit that you want. Percentage, rems, ems, pixels, points, inches, and all those kinds of stuff. So however it is you want to measure your font size, you can be able to add that. Now, to be safe, I usually use 1.5 rems for headings so that they're slightly bigger, but they're not overly bigger. So that is how you deal with fonts. Okay. Now, again, you realize that yes, you can be able to change these fonts, but these fonts will also be installed on your system. But maybe sometimes you want to use a font that is not installed on your system and you want to get it from Google, for example. So you can also be able to use Google Fonts inside your pages so that they look nice. So for you to use Google Fonts, simply open a new browser, then you go to Google Fonts or fonts.google.com. Then you come here. Then once you are on fonts.google.com, from here now you can just select the font that you want. We have Roboto here, we have Matangi, we have there are popular ones like Poppins, we have Open Sans over here. So just pick a font. We have Montserrat, a very nice font. Actually, I love it. So we have quite a number of fonts here. There's Leto. You can see Leto is also very nice. We have Roboto that is condensed. We have Servate. We have Roboto Mono. So we have all these kinds of fonts. My most popular font is Poppins. I don't know if it's come at the top, it's not there. But let's say, for example, we want to use Roboto. So if you want to use Roboto, simply click on the font that you want to use. Then what you can do is you can now select the weights that you want for this particular font. Actually, let me just make this one bigger so that we have the entire screen over here. So once you have this font over here, they've changed the interface a bit. Simply say get font. It will be added to your list of fonts. You can select multiple fonts, by the way. You don't have to use one. Just go back and select another font. Maybe say that is Roboto. Maybe say I want Poppins. Poppins is here. Say get fonts. So you'll be able to see that it will be able to add them on your font. So you can see two font families have been selected. So this is why is Poppins looking like this? This is not my usual Poppins. So let me remove this. Come back and look for Poppins. Poppins. That's not the Poppins that I'm used to. Well, maybe, okay, let me pick something else. So that's Roboto. That's Open Sans. Not really. I like Montserrat, so I'll add Montserrat. So just add all the fonts that you want. So they'll be listed here. If you select 4 fonts, all the 4 fonts will be listed here. So if you want to embed the code, simply say get embedded code. You click on that. It will give you how to use the form. So what you're going to do is you're going to say I want to import, because since we're using CSS file, I want to import this file. So what I'm going to use is not link but import. But if you want to link it as a separate style sheet, simply say link, which means now this is supposed to be put on the head of your document. So I'll copy this if you use link, then I'll paste it on Okay, so I'll take that and I'll paste it at the top of my document just below title over here. So I'll just paste that. Once I paste it, it means that now I am linking Google to my document. So it means every time my document loads, it's going to connect to fonts.google.com. Then it's going to take these fonts and install them. Now, for me to use the fonts over here, simply now come and say font family. Then you put something like this. So if I want to use Roboto, I'll say font family Roboto. So here I'll say, let me just open the document. You can see how it looks like. Let me just put Roboto here. And you see, suddenly it changes and now it is using the Roboto font. If I wanted to use the Montserrat, it's going to use the Montserrat font over here. So again, very, very important how we can be able to use Google Fonts on our documents. So again, font family is Montserrat. Is that the spelling of Montserrat really? It's double R, something like that. Now you can see it has actually changed it to Montserrat. Okay. So again, once if you wanted to use Google Fonts, then it's also possible. Just go to fonts.google.com, select your font, the fonts that you want to use. Then you can either use link, which is what you have on top here, or if I wanted to use import, I'll say import. Then this portion of code over here, I will add it right at the top of my style sheet here, like that. Then that way, I don't need to use these links. So that will still be able to work out. As you can see, it still works out, but now I am importing the fonts from Google. I like the import part. Some people like using the link part, which is still okay with me as far as I'm concerned. Whatever you feel works for you, you should be able to apply that. Okay, so that's how we use Google Fonts. Any question up to that point? I know this is a little bit too fast. Any question up to that point? Where's the chat? Okay, I'm not seeing anything on the chat, so it means that everything looks perfect. All right. So let's now go ahead and discuss how we can use icons inside our pages. Icons. I want us to see how we can use icons. So I think I'll give you a 2 minute break. Then we can come back and look at icons. So this is 10:16. At 10:20, we can come back and carry on. But if there's any question, you can also ask so that you can be able to address that. Okay? Okay, I think we can carry on. The 4 minutes are over. So I wanted us to discuss icons, how we can use icons within our pages. Now, icons are important because if you look at most websites, like the W3 schools I was into, you can see we have a lot of icons. There's an icon for search, icon for dark mode, icon for cart, icon for user, icon for menu. And within the page, I'll be able to see a lot of icons like this next button has an icon for next and previous, and this answer has an icon. So iconography is something that we will use very, very often at times. Down here, I also have icon for YouTube, LinkedIn, this is Discord, I think. This is Facebook. This is Instagram. So generally, when it comes to representing content on our pages, icons are going to be things that you're going to be dealing with a lot. So let's see how we can be able to use icons on our pages. And what I'm going to do here, I am going to create a menu. Then I'm going to add icons to that menu so that you just see how it works out. Maybe I can add a few buttons here and there. Then I can also be able to add icons on those particular buttons. So I'll create a new file here and I'll call it CSS icons.html. I'll introduce Emmet and I'll call it CSS icons. So let me create a menu here. So I have an ordered list, and this is how you do it. An ordered list now, and this is Emmet. Probably maybe you might want to learn how to use Emmet. I'll put an ordered list. Inside an ordered list, I'll add list items and I'll add four of them, right? Four of them like that. That should add for me four items. So here I'll simply add home, then products, then contact us, then maybe say what else? There is there is products and services, contact us, then about us, right? About us. So something of the sort. Now I'll definitely stop this page and open this new one. It might not look much, but that is what we have. So probably the only thing we need to do is maybe, well, maybe let me not reorganize it first. But down here, let me create two buttons. Button, two of them, or maybe say three of them. You can see now I have three different buttons, totally fine. So the first button I want to add new, then the other one is edit, then probably the other one is delete. Something like that. So I have three buttons down here. So add new, I want to put an add new button. Edit, I want to put an edit button. Delete, I want to put delete button or something of the sort. So I just want to show us how we can be able to add icons in these kinds of things. Now to add icons, most of the time on CSS we use the I. Um, we use a style here. We use the icon list. Then from there, we can be able to style our icon. So most of the time you'll find I'll put something here like an icon, then I close icon like that. So I is HTML for adding icons. Then of course, I can be able to put my icon over here. Now that is easier said than done because you'll have to design the icons on your own. But of course, there are tools that have designed these icons, so they make it very, very easy for us to be able to access these icons. And one of the icon packs that I love to use, there are so many, you can use whichever you want, but I'll just show us how to use Font Awesome. So you can use Font Awesome icons to be able to add iconography on your pages. So simply go to Font Awesome, Font Awesome. Then under Font Awesome, simply go to free icons on Font Awesome. You'll get a bunch of free icons. Then how to use it? How to use it is basically the way you link CSS. You will link it like that. So you can come here and go to Docs, then just see how to get started, which is here. So How you want to set it up is you can use Font Awesome kits over here. So you can set up a kit. Well, I don't have uh, an account, so what I'm going to do is probably just link it directly as as normal HTML. Where is it? Let me just open this fully. So so you can download the awesome. You can download the fonts here. So I want version 5. I like version 5, and I want it for the web for free for the web here. So it's going to download for me these files over here. So once it downloads these files for me, let it finish. I don't know why it's taking longer than usual. Okay, it's done. So I'll open this folder. I'll pick this download file. I'll copy it. Then I'll go to where my program is. It's on drive C. It's called Visual um, Programming. I'll paste it inside here. Then I will extract it. Extract it. It's going to put it in layers of folders. Not a big deal. So let me just extract it. Shouldn't take long. It's almost done. So yeah, it's going to open. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this folder. I'm going to take everything that is inside this folder. I'm going to cut and put on the root of where my files are, like that. And I'm putting them on the root so that I don't know why the SVGs are refusing to come. Well, so once I put them on the root of my folder, what's very, very important for me to load is this file called all. If I come to CSS here, you'll find a file called all.css. This is the file that I want to include inside my file, so that now it's able to load for me all the fonts. So that's how you're going to use Font Awesome. You'll extract, you'll copy everything to the root of your folder, come to this CSS folder, and then include this all.css as part of the CSS file you want to use for styling. Then that should be able to work out everything else as far as Font Awesome is concerned. All right. So what you're going to do here is I'm going to come back to my code. Of course, I'm going to have the browser. Well, let me open the browser here and open code here. Then I'll put it side by side like that. Yeah, I think that's perfect. So we see how it looks like. I'll come back to my page. There's not much red. So as I said here, I'll create a link, which is a CSS file, and I will link this file called, I'll go to the CSS folder. Then inside the CSS folder, I'll look for a file called all.css, that one. Then of course, I'll close this and close that. That should not interfere with my page. Should be totally fine. So now this is what will allow me to import Font Awesome into my file. Well, I don't need to style this for now because I just want to use the icons and see how they work out. So if I wanted to add an icon with home, so I can come to Font Awesome here and I'll say I want to search for icons, search for icons. Then I'll say I want home icon. Now I'm using version 5, so I'll say select version 5 down here, then say home. So I'll say home. I know what it looks like. So you want to use the free ones. The ones that are written pro, you can't use them because we have downloaded the free version. But the ones that are free, like this is free. Home Laptop House is free. Igloo is free. Home User is free. The ones that are free, you can literally use them. So let me use this home over here. You click on it, it just give you the name. All right, I already know the names, but for your case, you need to know the names. So this is how you add an icon. So if you want to add an icon, simply copy this. When you right click on it, it will highlight it. Then come and place it here, like that. Then when I come back to my page, I should be able to see the home icon on my page, right? Simple. That's very, very simple. Now, this is important because with Font Awesome, it is a vector image, which means if I increase the size of this page, this thing does not pixelate. I can also change its color if I want to, amongst many other things. So that is why we want to use something like Font Awesome so that now we can be able to play around with it. So for example, here I can say text. If I wanted to make it red, I'll simply say text danger, text danger, and that changes this to red. As you can see, uh, text danger. No, I have not included bootstrap. That's why it's not doing that. But if I came here and I say any style that has text danger, make the color red. So if I come here and add text danger, then that will make it appear red as you can see. So in short, I can change the icon however I want with CSS. That's the beauty of using icons on your page. So if your corporate color is green like Safaricom, I'll simply put green here and then it will be able to change them to green as you can see. All right. So that was just, by the way, I just want to show you how actually Font Awesome works. So when it comes to products, I can come here and say, I want to search for maybe say product. Well, products, you can simply say hamburger. So you can see I have a hamburger here, so I can put hamburger. So I'll simply say font awesome, and this right shortened is icon, add a class of font awesome solid, add a class of font awesome hamburger. I think hamburger, hamburger. I think that's the spelling of hamburger. Then from there, I simply press enter. It will add the icon for me with those two classes. Then if I come to my page over here, you can see now I have hamburger. Contact us, I want us to use a telephone, right? So I'll simply say call. Call will give me something like a telephone to contact us. Let me use this phone rotary. So I'll simply say add a font awesome icon with a class of font awesome solid, another class font awesome, then it is called font hyphen rotary. You can just read the name from here directly. Then once you're done, you close that and you close that, then you close the icon. And if I come back here, you'll see, well, um, well, refresh it, it should be able to, well, it's not add the font, so font rotary. Well, let me just get the actual name. I think I misspelled the name. Oh, these are pro. I can't use the pro versions. I can only use the free version. So that is basically Font Square. So font square. That's why I could not be able to use it. So now you can see it has put about font. Then here I'll put an I. So I'll simply say um, put an icon with a class of font awesome solid, then font awesome information info. Then, of course, you close the eye. Then you can see it has added an eye over there. Now, this is good because moving forward now, I can't be able to style these icons the way I want. Now, let me add icons on these buttons over here. So for the button, I'll simply put again, add an icon with a class of font awesome solid with a class of font awesome class. That will put a plus next to it. Edit, again, I'll put icon, font awesome solid, font awesome, edit. Then I'll close that. It will put the edit icon. Then if I wanted to add the delete, I'll say add an icon with a class of font awesome solid, then font awesome trash. Then I'll press enter. It will put a trash can over there, as you can see. Very simple, very straightforward. So when it comes to using icons on your pages or on your applications, then Font Awesome is an easy way to do it. We have a lot of icons you can use. You don't have to use Font Awesome. You can use any icon set that you feel like, but most of them are going to come in this particular style. So add an icon, then simply provide the class names for those icons, then import the icon files inside your project. Then the rest should be done. The rest should be handled with just normal CSS as it applies to your case. Okay. So that is how we use icons on our page. And you're going to see for most websites, even if you go to YouTube, you will find there's a lot of icons. There's microphone, there's search, there's create, there's bell icon, there's eye icon, there is all these icons all over the place. There's thumbs up, thumbs down, share. If I click on these, all these are just icons that you can be able to use as far as your web application is concerned. So besides the content, the icons play a very important role. This is an icon. This is an icon. I mean, you can go over and over and you will be able to see a lot of icons all over. These are icons. All these are icons that you can be able to actually get from Font Awesome. So like if I come here and I say history, you'll see that these guys have actually used Font Awesome icon, which is this history over here. Of course, they've used the pro version, but you can see these are basically the icons that most people use in their professional applications. If I come to download, same thing. You'll see they've used Font Awesome icons for downloads. So there was a simple download. We just a download on a dash. Where is it? Well, um, it's something like this. By the way, you can have these icons, then you rotate them. However, it's actually this. This is what they've used as their download. You can see it's a pro version of the icon. So over and over, everybody uses icons on their application. So it's important for you to also know how to use them. So next, I want us to look at links. How do we format links on our page? And I remember last time we discussed the links and we showed how we can be able to use them. But let me just repeat that process all over again. So formatting links. So for you to format links, they're usually formatted based on their state. So the states are, um, normal, which is just link. Then hover when you move the mouse over it. Then active when you click on it. Then visited once the link has been visited. So these are usually the four states of any link. So let me just put, I think I had put some links down here. Yep, these ones. But I'll have to point them to different places so that now we are able to see the differences. So I'll simply say this one goes to google.com. So this is Gmail. Then I'll have Facebook. Usually you would put the actual link here that points to your Facebook page. Then we have Instagram. Then we have LinkedIn. Something like that. Now, maybe just create a paragraph here so that these ones go on a new line like that. So you can see these links by default, they have this kind of styling. As we had said, for you to format any link, you want to be able to remove all these kinds of styling. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come and say any link, first of all, text decoration is none, which means remove all any styling as appropriate. So I've removed all the text decoration. So there is no underline, there is no color, there is no size, there is no type of line, and all those kind of things. So I've removed all the style. That's what none does. Then from there, I want to add the pseudo classes that now will monitor the state of the link. So when I say A and I say link, this is in natural state. When the link, when the page just loads, how should the links look like? So I'll simply say here, color, I want the color to be green. A normal link will have a green color because that's our corporate color. So you can see now all the links are green. Okay. Then I can change the pointer to, well, it pointer, not pointer events, but pointer. It's actually mouse pointer. Well, let me not focus on the mouse pointer first. I think we'll look at that next. Let me focus on the colors first. Then normal link will be green. Now, when the link you hover over it, so when you say hover, when you push mouse over it, I'll simply change the color to red. So it means that every time I put the cursor over the link, it becomes red, like that. Normally it's green, point on it, it becomes red. Now, when you click on it and it is active, I want the color to change to blue. So when you click on it and it's active, the color becomes blue. So what I can do here, I can add here, target. I can target a blank window so that now you can be able to see it when it's still processing. That. Like that. So when I click on it, you can see it briefly became blue before it opened the new window. Now, I want that once it has been visited, I want the color to change to yellow. I want the color to change to yellow. And you can change so many things. It's not only the color, you can change the background, you can change the font size, you can change the font family, and anything else you want to change. So you can see anything that is visited here is yellow. So if I click on Instagram, you can see it becomes blue. Once I go into Instagram, I come back, now it is yellow. By default, it's green. When I hover on it, it becomes red and that kind of stuff. So this is how you format your links. So you can format the link when the page loads. When after the page loads, you can give it any styles that you want, the default properties you want it to have. When you move mouse over it, the properties you want to have. When it is active, which means when it is clicked, how you want it to behave. Then after it has been visited, also how you want it to look like after it has been visited. So that makes it very, very easy for us to be able to manage the links, as you can be able to see. Now, I might also want these links to appear like buttons. So if I want them to appear like buttons, I'll simply come here and say background. Well, I can use background color, maybe say green. Then maybe I can use uh, color to be white. Well, this color will give it green because the link says green, but I can also move this here. This is not a good idea to do it like that because, well, it's not bad. What I can do here is I can add padding of 10 pixels all around. Then I can put border radius of 5 pixels. So the buttons are not as sharp. So you can see now they look something close to buttons. Now they are buttons. If I hover over them, they change and stuff like that. So this is how you can play around with links so that they appear like buttons and then they can have different styles as you visit them like that. See? So it allows you to be able to play around with the links in terms of styling them. Okay? So you can change everything on them, so to speak. Let's talk about lists. We also have lists, and lists are very, very important for us to be able to style because we use lists a lot. Now, I have a list over here, and I want this list to be styled in such a way that now I can be able to use it appropriately. So let's see how we can style these lists. So the first thing I need to do is to remove these. Well, I can remove them or I can maintain them. It all depends on what I want to do with it. So, but this is the list, the list style type. So you can change the list style in several ways. So there's the list style type. Then we also have the list style image. If I wanted to use an image here, then you also have the list style position. Is it going to be inside or outside the list item? But most commonly, I simply use the two, which is the list style and of course the list style type and the list style image. So if I wanted to change this list style over here, I'll simply come here and I'll say, well, get me my unordered list. Then inside my ordered list, I'll say list style type. By default, it is disk, which is what you're seeing over here. But you can also add something like a square if you want it to be square. So you can see now they've changed from discs to squares. You might also want to change it to upper Roman if you want Roman in uppercase, upper Roman. So that will be upper Roman. Then you can also have something like maybe say lower alpha. You can have upper Roman, lower Roman. Then you can have a lower alpha. You get the idea, right? Lower alpha. So you can see lower alpha is A, B, C, something of the sort. So you can always play with that. But of course, in any scenario, that is if you want to apply that style. Usually, I don't like formatting these lists like this. So usually, I would just remove the entire style. Then maybe since this is a menu, I can maybe display it as a flex so it appears from left to right. Then now I am able to play around with it as a menu. Maybe sometimes I might just want it as a menu flowing from top to bottom, something of the sort. Then maybe that works out for me. So if you wanted to remove all the styles from the list, you simply will say list style. Then I'll put first of all none to remove the entire type. So there's none. So you can see it has removed the bullets. The next thing is I'll reset the margins. So I'll simply say margin list style is none, margin is 0, and padding is also 0. Actually, margin is 0 and padding is also 0. That will reset, but of course these ones are usually done at the root level, so that now you can see I have removed all the margins and the paddings, and now it has come on the other side. Then from there, I can simply say get my UL. Then inside my UL, get the list items. Then for the list items, I can add a margin top of maybe say 20 pixels if I want to put spaces between each list item, as you can see. I want to also add a margin bottom for the last one, so I'll say UL, LI, the last element, last child. Then I'll simply put margin bottom also 20 pixels. So you can see the bottom one now has a top margin and a bottom margin. Then maybe I want to separate the icons from the text. So I'll simply say UL, LI, I. So for all the icon elements, so you can see I have a UL, I have an LI, then I have an I. So that I has a padding right of 50 pixels. I just want to separate it very, very far from the element. And you can see it adds that buffer space for you. So that's kind of like how you would style around your list element. Well, 50 pixels is a bit too much. So let me make it 20. So you can see they're not very close together, but at the same time, they look nicer, right? So that's kind of like if I wanted to format it from top to bottom, maybe I wanted to add background to it. So probably maybe on the list, I can come here and add a background of purple. So to add a background of purple, then of course I can do a padding of 10 pixels. We have done all these things. I'm just showing us how to put it together of 10 pixels all around. Then maybe I can change the color to be white, color American. Color, not color. So you can see everything changes to white. And well, I can put a margin bottom. I'm forgetting the last semicolon mostly. So margin bottom of maybe say 20 pixels so that I'm just separating it from here. Then I can add this border radius and this border radius, just the corners only, so that it looks nicer. So border radius top left is one, is maybe say 10 pixels. You can see that one has styled this one only. And if I wanted to style the lower one only, well, I don't know why it has, okay. So that one has only applied to this corner. If I wanted to apply to this other corner also, I'll say border, radius, border, bottom left. Then I also put there 10. So you'll be able to see this corner also has been affected 10 pixels, sorry. So you can see this corner has also been affected. So what I'll simply do is after this list over here, I can put my paragraph so that I separate these two things. So you can be able to see I have carved this corner, and the other corners are remaining sharp. This one has been applied green because I said that it has a text of danger, and text of danger applies green color to it, as you can see over here. So it will depend on what CSS property we are going to be adding as we move along. So you can see this is very, very powerful technology that we can be able to create literally anything that we want as far as our content is concerned. Now, I know this is a little bit too much. We still need to discuss two things, which is tables in CSS and CSS units. But because of the constraints of time, I'm not going to be able to discuss that. I will record 30-minute video that describes those two elements. Then I'll be able to share it with you later on. So we have a cut in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be covering a lot of things. I would suggest that we have classes on Saturday as we had agreed because exams are starting on the 7th, and we need to be very careful that we cover everything because in the exam everything is already set. So it will be in your interest to make sure that we attend these classes and we are able to see exactly what you're expected to do. And as you can see, this is actually something that is very, very practical. This is something that you can start using immediately in your projects. Once you learn how to get around these kinds of things and we start doing some very magical things with JavaScript, then you realize that this is more practical than even most of the other things that you pay attention to. So I'd like you to take your time and take keen interest on this. And probably, if you don't know, it might be actually the career path that you will actually want to take. So, without boring you further, I think we're going to carry on from tomorrow. As I've mentioned, I'm going to record a 30-minute video outside this particular class, which will basically discuss how we format tables and how CSS units work. But also, you can go online and figure out those portions on how those stylings can be done so that now you can be able to apply these styles appropriately as far as your pages are concerned. Starting tomorrow, we start looking at JavaScript, which is the heart and core of these visual programming element slash web development, because once we do visual programming and this is web, so most likely you have killed two birds with one stone. You're able to do web design, you're also able to do visual programming, all using the same tools altogether. There's a very thin line between the two of them. So if you understand one, then definitely the other one becomes much, much easier. Actually, JavaScript is what makes it the visual programming side of thing. Whatever we have been doing are what make it the web side of things. So I just want us to be able to see how we can compare or we can put the two together, then come up with our own application, and you see actually how these applications are usually built. So I think I'll give us an opportunity to ask for questions if there are any. Then, if there are none, from there we'll be able to shut down or close this particular class. Then probably we'll meet tomorrow and start looking at JavaScript and how it works as far as our pages are concerned. So I'll just switch over to the meeting and see if there are any questions on chat. By the way, you can still raise your hand and and um, and ask any question if you have any. Any question? You can use the chat if you cannot be able to speak. Okay, so since I'm not seeing any hands raised, I'm not seeing any microphone on, and I'm not seeing anything on the chat, I will assume that there are no questions. So without further ado, I think I'll stop the class at that. We will meet again tomorrow and carry over with JavaScript. Have a wonderful day. I'll be able to share this after it has uploaded. Thank you and have the rest wonderful day.